Okay, we are live on YouTube. Let me check the other stream now. Let's see if Twitch will work. Okie dokie, we should be live on Twitch. We should be live on Twitch, although the title of my Twitch stream is a little bit wrong, but I can't log in, so I don't know. If Alexei comes on Twitch, maybe he can change the title of the stream. I cannot log in. Okay. Okay. How are you guys? What has been going on? How do I see if anyone is watching actively? Stream health. Stream is healthy. Viewer activity. Stream settings. Analytics. I don't know. Chat rate. Concurrent viewers. I think I need to refresh the page. Let's refresh the page. Okay, pop out the chat. There we go. How does this even work? Stream key, default stream. Where's the chat? Chat. Test. Will this appear? I haven't streamed for a while. Ah, there it is. There it is. So that works. You know, not streaming for a while does you that. Oh, Alexei, what alien planets are you going to explore? Yeah, I was waiting for. I cannot log in. I cannot log into Twitch. It is telling me that I don't have a compatible browser. So I have the latest Firefox ESR, and it tells me it's too old. Also, Brave is too old. Also, Chromium is not compatible. Not Brave is too old, but not compatible. Chromium not compatible. It doesn't let me log in. So if you can use your moderator powers to change the title, that would be good. If you cannot, or it doesn't matter, you know, as long as it works. Maybe it's a bug on their end. I don't know. Maybe you can try in Firefox ESR just for a test, and to see it will even allow you to attempt to log in. It didn't allow me. So whatever is going on, I don't know. But I have my stream key from Twitch saved into my OBS from before. So I just pressed stream. Linux and Bash is quite alien to most people, so the title is fine as it is. Yeah, that's good as well. Let me see how high the chat will go. Chat box goes all the way up. Okay. Okay. This is fine. Forum wants to send me notifications. Okay, good. How have you been? I have been postponing this live stream for a little bit, you know, like give me a 2-month break during the summer and a little bit more during the fall and a little bit more during winter. And here we are 9 months later, is it? Funny how that goes. Concurrent viewers. Oh, we have some people, but not almost nobody's talking in chat. Okay. So we are pretty much good to go with the first lesson. Before we start with the first lesson, a couple of announcements that most of you have already heard about. Let's just say that you've been pregnant with this idea for a while. Yeah, exactly. And now the idea is being born. Okay, let me switch to my main screen over here. This is bothering me a little bit. I'm gonna detach this from my share. Okay, now it's a little bit better. Let me adjust the text a little bit. Chat will move somewhere here. Okay. Good. I have a new web page, but that's not exactly the topic of today. So these are some of my older posts from before. Some of them are newer. If you go to courses here, you will see a couple of links in regards to what we are doing right now. I don't have Firefox ESR, by the way, so can't. Okay, good. Doesn't really matter about which. Okay, the last year we have done LPIC 1 that is marked with 101 number. That is like the first half, and now we are going to start the second half called 102. Feel free to click on the PDF here. I have uploaded it to my own web page just to be sure that it doesn't disappear from the Linux Professional Institute web page. It's not that they're going to remove it, but maybe they make a new version of or something that's not 100% aligned with what I am not going to change the version or anything. We're doing version 5.0 of their document, so it's just uploaded here for your convenience. If you want the version from LPIC website, you can get it from there as well. It's the same version on today's date. These are the links to my playlist on YouTube. If you click on year 1 playlist, you're going to get all of the videos here. If you click on year 2, you're going to click, oh, what did I do? Full playlist. Oh, okay, I clicked something wrong. That's the only one video that we have on the second playlist, and it's currently live. The other thing that I wanted to show you, where's the forum? Go down. Why didn't I link my own forum here? That's funny. That's funny. Nevertheless, forum.linuxrenaissance.com. Let me link it in chat. Okay, I can link it on YouTube. I cannot link it on Twitch because I'm not logged in. So the idea about the forum started a long time ago. I was unready to put it into production because I always cook on my ideas for a long time until I'm absolutely sure with all of my overthinking process that I want to do it and that I can actually commit to doing that. Why is this here? Linux Renaissance? Oh, okay, sorry. This is the home page, right? We have some categories here: general, how to, Linux Renaissance, LPIC, site feedback, whatever. General is whatever. How-tos are technical documents that I have started filling up. If you join the forum, you are welcome to create more of the how-tos. Please make them as detailed as you can. So this is my video that is connected to the text below, and these are the commands that are explained, and well, it leads you to a certain destination that this how-to is dealing with. Also, the staff will be able to edit these eventually, so they are maintained up to date. This part of the forum is basically showing the topics that come from my own web page. So, for example, if you go to the last computer you will ever own, you have some text here. It's a reading material, okay? And in the end you have comments, and already you can see that Mislav has left the first comment here. That was only 10 minutes ago. And if you wish to continue the discussion that gets attached to the web page, you can click continue discussion. It will take you to the forum, and here you can see the beginning of the text. You can see the full post if you click that button, and basically you can click reply, and whatever you reply, it will show up on the forum and on the web page. So basically the Linux Renaissance category is comments on all of my blog posts. That's all. LPIC 1 category, this is where the fun begins. So the lesson that we are going to do today is called Customize and Use the Shell Environment. There are 3 different lessons in this topic. Today we're going to do the first one, and if you enter this one, you will see the link to this video that is going on right now. So if you click this button here, if you click this button here, if you click this button here, if you click this button, see what happened, right? Okay. So basically it's Inception. I'm looking at my own self through the video embedded in my forum. I guess I should start the Visual Studio lineup up. I'm just kidding. This is the introduction to today's topic. This is the link to the PDF if you still don't have it. And below this, we are going to do some homework. And the homework will not be exactly structured as in elementary school. It's more like after, if you have been here the last year, you remember that after every lesson we would go through exercises that are a part of the PDF. All of these exercises we have been doing together, and eventually when we answered all of the questions, we would go through the answers that are there to verify our knowledge. And whatever wasn't quite clear, we have been discussing it live as much as time allowed. But this year I want to go through the questions in the same way as last year, but additionally I want everyone who will be attending the live stream and has any kind of question in regards to the lesson or in regards to the questions in the end, or any additional unknown that is going to be happening in your head in regards to lesson today, do write them up on the forum on this topic here, and together we are going to reply to each one in a way that basically we will kind of help each other to stand on the ball, if that makes sense. Of course, you can ask Google or whatever other search engine and go to Stack Overflow or ask Claude or ChatGPT. All this is fine, but none of that can really replace the interaction with a fellow human in the form of I think it's called peer study. I think that's the term, peer study, is it? So the idea is, if you have anything to share with the rest of us that is not 10 out of 10 clear to you, please share that on the forum and make it a discussion, and we're going to talk about it in the following days. Maybe it will not last for 7 days until the next one. Maybe it will last only 1 day, only 3 days. It doesn't really matter. Maybe it can expand indefinitely. It really doesn't matter. What matters is that the discussion goes on as far as you need it until everything is clear to you. That basically, that's the gist of it. If you don't yet have an account on the forum, you can log in. You can make an account right now. It will look like this. Forum. You can click sign up here. So you can sign up with a completely new account by entering your email address, your username, and your wished password. If you have used this course on any other site that uses this course, you might have already created a discourse ID. You can also use that ID to simply log in into my website, into my forum. It will work automatically for you. You don't need another account. You can also log in with GitHub. I have connected these two as well. So if you have a GitHub account, you can use that one to log in. You don't need to create a new account on my forum. If you don't have any of these two, well, you're going to have to create an account here, and then I'm going to need to approve you because in the first few days I want to see how things work. So have a tiny bit of patience until I click on your name. And there is a little bit of a procedure with this course, how you earn your status on the forum and basically your trust level. You're going to have to post a couple of times and get your posts approved until you can post without moderator approval. That's basically about it. Okay. Who is ready? I'm already cooked with all of the talking. Good. Customize and use the shell environment. Difficulty a little bit more than before. Iceblade, good, thanks. Set environment variables at login or when spawning a new shell. Write bash functions for frequently used sequences of commands. Maintain skeleton directories for new user accounts. Set command search path with the proper directory. Okay, these are some of the commands that we're going to go through, and let's give it a go. Today's lesson, the first one out of 3 of them. The shell is arguably the most powerful tool in a Linux system and can be defined as an interface between the user and the kernel of the operating system. It interprets commands entered by the user. Therefore, all system administrators must be skilled in using the shell. As we may certainly know by now, the born again shell, bash, is the de facto shell for the vast majority of Linux distributions. Once started, the first thing bash, or any other shell for that matter, does is executing a series of startup scripts. These scripts customize the session's environment. There are both system-wide and user-specific scripts. We can put our personal preferences or settings that best fit our users' needs in these scripts in the form of variables, aliases, and functions. The exact series of startup files depends on a very important parameter, the type of shell. Let us have a look at the variety of shells that exist. Shell types: interactive versus non-interactive, and login versus non-login. So to start with, let us clarify the concepts of interactive and login in the context of shells. Interactive / non-interactive shells. This kind of shell refers to the interaction that takes place between the user and the shell. The user provides input by typing commands into the terminal using the keyboard. The shell provides output by printing messages on the screen. So that's kind of logical, isn't it? But we are getting to the harder parts. Login / non-login shells. This kind of shell refers to the event of a user accessing a computer system, providing its credentials, such as username and password. Both interactive and non-interactive shells can be either login or non-login, and any possible combination of these types has its specific uses. Interactive login shells are executed when users login into the system and are used to customize users' configurations according to their needs. Iceblade says that he thought Bash was a programming language. Is it just default inside console? Okay, the first thing, I don't understand the question. I mean, Bash kind of is a programming language, but also it's a shell. Second thing, I would love if you guys could register on the forum as soon as possible and start writing notes there about things that are not entirely clear, such as this question. I mean, maybe you don't have to type it on the forum immediately, but make notes in your notepad and drop it on the forum later on, like in one bundle. But I would like you to make notes throughout the video today about things that aren't perfectly clear, because when we get to the end, you will not remember all of the things that wasn't entirely clear. Am I making any sense? What I want to accomplish is later in the day, the forum earns content. A good example of this type of shell would be that of a group of users belonging to the same department who need a particular variable set in their sessions. By interactive non-login shells, we refer to any other shells opened by the user after logging into the system. Users use these shells during sessions to carry out maintenance and administrative tasks such as setting variables, the time, copying files, writing scripts. On the other hand, non-interactive shells do not require any kind of human interaction. Thus, these shells do not ask for the user input, and their output, if any, in most cases is written to the log. Non-interactive logging shells are quite rare and impractical. Their uses are virtually non-existent, and we will only comment on them for the sake of insight into shell behavior. Some odd examples include forcing a script to be run from a login shell with bin bash-login, some script, or piping the standard output of a command into the standard input of an SSH connection. As for non-interactive, non-login shell, there is neither interaction nor login on behalf of the user, so we are referring here to the use of automated scripts. These scripts are mostly used to carry out repetitive administrative and maintenance tasks, such as those included in cron jobs. In such cases, bash does not read any startup files. In regards to opening a terminal, when we are in desktop environment, we can either open a terminal application or switch to one of the system consoles. Therefore, a new shell is either a PTS shell when opened from a terminal emulator in the GUI, or a TTY shell when run from a system console. In the first case, we are not dealing with a terminal, but with a terminal emulator. As part of a graphical session, terminal emulators like GNOME Terminal or Console are very feature-rich and user-friendly as compared to text-based user interface terminals. Less feature-rich terminal emulators include, amongst others, Xterm and Sakura. Honestly, I never heard of Sakura. Xterm, of course, exists on pretty much every distribution. Maybe not installed by default, but it's there. I would say it's actually pretty feature-rich, this one, although most of its features are a little bit obsolete and not that much useful nowadays. Let me try something. Open a new window here. Okay, what I wanted to show you here is this part here, PTS. Okay, so therefore, a new shell is either a PTS shell when opened from a terminal emulator. Okay, one of these. Or a TTY shell when run from system console. So while I'm streaming, I really shouldn't switch to a TTY console because I have no clue what is going to happen through my live stream. But suffice to say, if I would press Ctrl Alt F4 or similar, log in there, it would say TTY over here. Using the Ctrl Alt F1 to F6 combos, we can go to the console logins, which open an interactive text-based login shell. Ctrl Alt F7 will take the session back into the desktop. With a small tidbit here. This is correct in almost every Linux distribution where you are using X11 login. In most cases, F7 will take you back to your Xorg session. With Wayland, usually it turns out that your SDDM or your GDM is kind of left hanging on F1 console, while your actual login is usually on Control Alt F2. If you log in the second user in your Wayland session, you can log in more of them at once. I believe it will end up on Control Alt F3, but I don't really remember. I don't remember when was it the last time I was doing that, but it should end up somewhere for sure. After logging in, type bash into a terminal to open a new shell. Technically, this shell is a child process of the current shell. While starting the bash child process, we can specify various switches to define which kind of shell we want to start. Here are some important bash invocation options. Bash-l or bash-login will invoke a login shell. So let me practice this on a new window here. Bash-l says it's a login shell. Bash. That's not really what I expected. Login. Started with login. A login shell is one of those first character of argument or one started with login. Who can explain what we are dealing with at the moment? What did I expect? I expected to stop me with a login prompt, which will happen if I type su. Why is this even a specific parameter at all? That part is confusing me a little bit. Well, obviously, login prompt is not executed by shell, but a separate login program. Okay. Make bash act as if it had been invoked as a login shell. Yeah, that's the thing, what I was aiming for, to find a reasoning where you would want it to act as a login shell or not. Okay. Bash -- no profile with login shells will ignore both system-wide startup file in profile directory and the user level startup files. Okay, so let's give that one a try. Bash with no profile. Now this didn't quite work out as I expected, and I'm gonna do the man thing again. Do not read either the system-wide startup file or any of the personal initialization file. By default, bash reads those files when it is invoked as a login shell. No profile. Actually, I expected this one. No RC. So what is confusing me is why is it executing my Starship prompt here? No RC. Yeah, okay. That's what I was expecting with the no profile. With interactive shells, will ignore both the system-wide startup file and the user-level startup files. Oh, okay. I see now. Okay, my Starship is here and not in these profiles here. Okay, that's a distinction to be made between these config files here. bash-rc file with interactive shells will take file as the startup file, ignoring system-wide configuration. I guess if you run Emacs daemon from your login shell, the non-login ones you spawn later won't try to run another instance. Let me read that again. If you run Emacs daemon from your login shell, the non-login ones you spawn later will not try to run another instance. I'm not sure. Emacs is a little bit special. I mean, if you run it in daemon mode, I don't believe it matters where you run it from, because once it's running as a daemon, whenever you start another Emacs, it will always spawn another Emacs, no matter that Emacs daemon is already running. If you want to connect to the daemon, you need to use the Emacs client and not run another Emacs. I don't see how login shell would affect this behavior at all. Even more so because in most cases, at least on the majority of distributions, you will tell the user systemd configuration to launch your Emacs daemon. But these are a little bit specific combinations. Okay, launching shells with su and sudo. If you put Emacs daemon command into bash rc, then it's going to run on every bash startup, but you only want to run. I see the point that you're trying to make, but this is just bad configuration. In most cases, you will not rely on trying to avoid running Emacs daemon twice. Usually you will put a Lisp configuration in the Emacs configuration file in where you will explain Emacs, if I am trying to run a daemon while it's already running, don't run it. So you take care of this particular issue with the Emacs configuration itself, and not by avoiding triggering a problem with Emacs. So then you can relax and do whatever you want, and your Emacs configuration will take care of not starting the daemon twice for you. This is just an example on why login versus no login shell difference. Don't over focus in Emacs daemon. Take another similar background command as an example. Okay, in that case, it's a good example. in that case, it's a good one. Through the use of these two similar programs, we can obtain specific types of shells. So, change the user ID or become super user. With this command, we can invoke both login and non-login shells. su-user2, su-l user2, or su-login user2 will start an interactive login shell as user2. I suspect many of you have been using the dash in this manner. And basically what this does is it executes the startup script of the user, so it behaves like you logged in from scratch. The reason why I personally have been using this command a lot more, actually this one, a lot more often than this one, is because the one with the dash would execute everything I want to be executed as it is a new root login, and it will go to the root home folder and all that good stuff. Unless I just want root privileges temporarily, while not leaving the current directory where I am. In this case, this one will grant me privileges without leaving the current directory and without executing all of the root startup scripts that I don't really need at the moment. I only use -l, no need to have weird exceptions to common options parsing logic just to save a single symbol. Okay, that's a valid observation, but I cannot tell a lie. I have literally never used the -l. It was always this command, literally always. So it is what it is. So with this command, it will start an interactive login shell as root, and this one will start an interactive non-login shell as root. Let me show it to you. Let's go to programming folder. Okay, su-root. Okay, type your password and my root account might not be enabled here. Let's go to another machine. Let's go to any folder, su-root. This one is not enabled either. Okay, let's enable it. Sudo password root. Okay, let's do it again. su-root. Okay, type the password of root, and now we are in root folder. Our prompt has changed to whatever is configured for the root user, and that's about it. The login scripts have been executed. Let's exit back to Dart. And let's su-root without the login and the password for root again, and we are still in the home Dart flash directory. The prompt has changed, probably because it's already configured in Dart's bashrc to react on root prompt. Let me verify that. Bashrc. If color prompt yes. Root shell doesn't read user bash rc. Okay. But it didn't read roots bash rc either when I did su without the dash. Maybe it's just a default. So root, let me do this kind of experiment. Okay, this is a very simple experiment. We have logged as root with a login shell, and we can see here a clear proof that roots bash rc indeed was executed. Now let's go ahead and do this without the dash. I am a bit stunned now because I thought it will not execute roots bash rc. There is a little bit more understanding to do here. Be it login or non-login instance. Okay, let's just read through the manual for a second. Start the shell as a login shell with an environment similar to real login. Clears all the environment variables except the term, color term, and variables specified by whitelist. Initializes the environment variables. Iceblade, you are probably correct. Changes to the target user's home directory. Okay. There's no bash profile here. Okay, let's try this experiment. The user Dart has a little thing going on here. I don't know where you're going to use this in scripting or whatever, but we have this variable here with this content. So somewhere you're going to use this for scripting. And if you su root, let's see, echo is still present, but I have now logged out again, and let's log in like this. Echo. Yeah, it definitely clears it as the manual says. Well, this is a matter of playground. This is a matter of playground. Ahmed Nesser, welcome in. Hello. Ahmed, go to forum.linuxrenaissance.com, make an account there, and after the lesson, you will be participating in homework for today's lesson. Yeah, I mean, once you start shell scripting, some of the dots will get connected eventually, and you might, or hopefully you will remember this lesson, how things are executed or not executed, cleared or not cleared, when doing su in this or that way. So for now, let's leave it as it is. I think it's clear enough. So with sudo, which is mostly used for similar purpose, execute commands as another user, because this command is mainly used to gain root privileges temporarily. The user using it must be in the sudoers file. To add users to sudoers, we need to become a root and then run usermod sudo user2. That's, I think, clear enough that you're going to add the user to the correct group, right? Just as sudo allows us to invoke both login and non-login shells. Sudo su-user2, or maybe more common, sudo su-root or sudo su- will start an interactive login shell as root. Just below there is another way. Alexis says in Debian it's much easier. Add user to the group. And Iceblade is asking, A is add, G is group. We can check that on the manual. Sorry. I haven't been talking for an hour and my throat is already in pain. It's not a big deal in terms of pain, but more it gets annoying because I start coughing and I really cannot control it anymore after a while. So we'll see how long it will work. Okay, see, this is something that I have been doing for a long while. So the su-root is something that I have been using for a long time. And then sudo became mainstream, so to speak. And when I would need to become root, I would just use sudo su dash, usually not root, but I would do it like this, right? So at one point, I never really I have never given it any thought. It was just logical, you know. If I cannot su as root anymore because the root account is locked, and I can now only use sudo, let's just add sudo in front of the command that I have been always using, and it's good. And it wasn't too long ago, a couple of years back maybe, or maybe less even, I think I did a video or something in that regards, and someone on Mastodon told me, why do I use sudo su? dash, if I can just use sudo dash I. Yeah, this is going to be a problem with my throat. So sudo dash I literally does the same. I think I need honey or something that will stop the reflex. This is fairly simple. I think we can continue, right? So sudo dash I some command will start an interactive login shell as root and run the command and return to the original user. Sugar drink might be good coating. Sugar. I don't think so. I have a lot of water here, but that's not good enough. I could drink a little bit of olive oil. I'm gonna do that. Give me 1 minute to lube my throat. Okay, I am in possession of a insanely powerful homemade olive oil, which is absolutely disgusting. At least when you drink it just like that, but maybe it will help. It's absolutely disgusting. The shit I'm going to do for this channel and for this live stream. Sudo su root or sudo su will start an interactive non-login shell as root. Sudo -s or sudo -u root -s will start a non-login shell as root. Don't think water and oil mix, so might just work one. I don't know what you said, but yeah, the oil swims on top of water, yeah. When using either su or sudo, it is important to consider our particular case scenario for starting a new shell. Do we need the target user's environment or not? Basically, this is the question I have been asking myself every time when I would choose whether or not I type the dash or not type the dash. That's what I have been describing a couple of minutes ago. If so, we would use the option which invokes login shells, if not those which invoke non-login shells. It may sound a little bit convoluted, but it really comes down to just this. This is everything you need to know. Just this one sentence. What shell type do we have? In order to find out what type of shell we are working at, we can type echo $0. Echo $0. Okay, we have bash. Interactive login dash bash or dash 2. Let me try. Echo $0 still dash bash. Okay. Interactive non-login bash or bin bash. Okay. Echo $0 still not that one. Non-login. Let me go back here. Echo $0. Okay, there we go. Interactive non-login shell here. This is my local terminal emulator over here. Non-interactive non-login script. Name of the script. How many shells do we have? Oh, I already did that previously, so it looks like I'm ahead of the game. Again, to see how many bash shells we have up and running in the system, we can use the command ps aux grep bash. So it is what it is. User2 at Debian has logged into a GUI or X Windows System session and opened the GNOME terminal. Then she has pressed Ctrl Alt F1 to go into a TTY session. Finally, she has gone back to the GUI session by pressing Ctrl Alt F7 and type in the command ps aux grep bash. Thus, the output shows an interactive non-login shell via the terminal emulator PTS0 and an interactive login shell via the proper text-based terminal TTY1. Note also how the last field of each line, the command, is bash for the former and dash bash for the latter. pgrep exists. I have not trained myself to use these modern commands because I grew up with the command kill all, and recently I have started adopting pkill, and pgrep is one of the new ones that I simply haven't adopted just about yet. How'd that work? I'm trying to find the equivalent. Of process lists and grepping. I don't know, you will have to give me an example of that. I haven't used pgrep. Pgrep-L? Or is it big I? Let me just copy what you typed. Copy paste. Oh, it's -L. That's not exactly doing the same thing. Maybe yes, maybe not. I suppose the output is different and you need to tune it in a way that you want to if you want to get all of the information. I'm just combining stupid stuff to... Well, I suppose this is good enough. But it doesn't really say where from. Can I move us forward with interactive login shell? At its profile, this is the system-wide .profile file for the Bourne shell and the Bourne compatible shells, bash included. Through a series of if statements, this file sets a number of variables such as path and ps1, which is our prompt, this one here, accordingly, as well as sourcing, if they exist. Both the file etc bash.bashrc and those in the directory etc profile.d. So let's go ahead into etc profile. Oops. That's not what I wanted. etc profile. Okay, there we go. So system-wide.profile file for the Bourne shell, the sh, and the Bourne compatible shells, bash, ksh, ask. I don't know how you read those. But yeah, these are the commands that get executed, so it's really not a big deal. That's it. That's all it gets executed. Let me go back to the file. To the PDF, edits profile-d. This directory may contain scripts that get executed by edits profile. So we do have some files in here. I have installed a package on Debian called bash completion. I believe that package is responsible for this file here. Sudo apt install apt file is already installed. Apt file bash completion. Oops. I forgot how is this used. Search. Sorry. Okay, Alexei's command is probably better for something that is already installed. However, this one has already given me an answer, but Alexei's idea is probably more precise. That's what happens when you just copy paste without even reading what it says. Profile.d bash completion. Okay. Pretend you didn't see me copy paste without changing it. Okay, so bash completion gets executed as well. Nice. Now that we have understood what gets executed from system location here, now we can go to local level with bash profile. This olive oil is not bad, but it needs maintenance like an engine. I'm gonna be so healthy after all this olive oil. .bash profile. This bash specific file is used for configuring the user environment. It can also be used to source both bash login and .profile. Let's see if user Dart owns such a file. Usually it should be deployed through etc/scale, I think. Bash profile dot bash prof. It's not here. There isn't anything there. Okay. Where's my mouse? Bash login. Do we have that one? We don't have that one either. Dot profile. ls dot profile. We do have dot profile. Okay. It is here. This file is not bash specific and gets sourced only if neither bash profile nor bash login exist, which is normally the case, even so in my case here. Thus, the main purpose of .profile is that of checking if a bash shell is being run, and if so, sourcing .bashrc if it exists. It usually sets the variable path so that it includes the user's private bin directory if it exists. And there is also bash logout. If it exists, this bash specific file does some cleanup operations when exiting the shell. This can be convenient in such cases as those in remote sessions. So bash logout is doing user bin clear console. It's a binary. Can be executed. Terminal is not a console. Okay, but it will get some execution. Suffice to say that bash logout is going to do your cleanup when you exit the shell. So if you do want something to get executed when you're leaving, put it there. Exploring interactive login shell configuration files. Let us show some of these files in action by modifying etc profile and home user to dash profile. We will append to each a line reminding us the file is being executed. Well, basically I have already done a similar thing with roots.bashrc. But anyways, we can do this as well. Sudo dash I. Okay. Hello from etc profile. Let's copy paste the second one. This time I have read what it says, but on the second one I didn't read what it says. Okay. Two redirection operators append the output of a command into an existing file, not overwriting it. If the file does not exist, then it will be created. For those of you who have never done shell scripting, this is very useful skill to understand. Whichever output of a command you wish it to end up as additional content of some file, you need to forward it into that file with two of these guys. If you only use one, then you're going to fully overwrite the existing content of this file and it's gone. And you only get this the result of this command into this file if you use just one operator. You need two of them to append. So this is useful, for example, if you're filling up some kind of a log file and you want to keep the old log files, then you're going to use two of these guys and you're stacking your logs into the log file. But in some cases, let's take, for example, my live stream. With my live stream, I can show you, how do I say it? I can show you, let's say, the content of my folder in the middle of the live stream screen. And I have settings in OBS that can read a contents of a file. And I can keep showing the contents of that file, while in the background I'm feeding the contents of that file by outputting a ls command in some folder. And on the screen you will see the contents of my folder, but you don't want to see it appended, you just want to see the latest result of my folder. I'm just trying to invent a case here. Then I will use just one operator so I can keep overwriting the file. So on the live stream, you just get one latest data. Welcome in Northern Chimp. Please go to forum linuxrenaissance.com register there. There will be a homework after the live stream. Nobody to approve just yet, so it is what it is. Where's my mouse? Okay. Through the output of their respective echo commands, we will know when each of these files is read and executed. To prove it, let us see what happens when user 2 logs in via SSH from another machine. Okay, let's log out. I am now back into my own PC. As you can see, the connection is now closed. Let's log in back into SSH to user Dart. And you can see that its profile has been executed and my own .profile has been executed as well after I have logged in via SSH as has been asked for this specific example. As the last two lines show, it worked. Also note three things. The global file was run first. There were no .bash profile or .bash login files in the home directory of user Dart. The tilde expanded to the absolute path of the file home user2.profile. And then we have the second example, an interactive non-login shell. It's a bash.bashrc. This is the system-wide .bashrc file for interactive bash shells. Through its execution, bash makes sure it is being run interactively, checks the window size after each command, updating the values of lines and columns if necessary, and sets some variables. On the local level, .bashrc, in addition to carrying out similar tasks to these described for its bash.bashrc, at a user level, such as checking the window size or if being run interactively, this bash-specific file usually sets some history variables and sources bash aliases in the user folder if it exists. Apart from that, this file is normally used to store users' specific aliases and functions. I already have an idea for the homework. I will write it down for myself. Okay. Likewise, it is also worthwhile noting that user folder.bashrc is read if bash detects its standard input is, or however you pronounce this, std_in, is a network connection, as it was the case with secure shell connection in the example above. It's a bit silly. You know, I have the energy to talk and work with you guys, but my throat is not, it's out of commission. I need to train it again. Next time I will buy some honey. Or something else that's a little bit more sticky. I need something sticky in my throat that will not go. Maybe peanut butter would help. I think I might have some of that. Vodka. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that would really help with the... I know it's a half joke, but I am taking everything as an advice, okay? So, not sure if it would make the throat less inflamed. You may still feel the pain, but we won't care anymore. Icarus, welcome in. And nice of you to say that you like something that I cannot read. Good for you. Exploring interactive non-login shell configuration files. Let us now modify bash.bashrc and home dart bashrc. It's an antibiotic. How would antibiotic help me with my throat being mechanically irritated? Because that's the problem that I have. It's mechanically irritated from talking for an hour. I used to be able to talk for 5 hours, but it's been a while, and I'm a bit out of commission. Let's do this. Sudo. We are now root. Just got here. Sorry. Yeah, it's from talking. Okay. This is what happens when user 2 starts a new shell. Okay, let's exit and let's type bash here. Good. User 2, or in my case it's user Dart, has started a new bash shell from the old one, so as a child bash prompt shell, and it says hello from this file and hello from this file. Good. So now you see which of these are getting executed when you start a new shell. Again, the 2 files were read and executed. Remember, because of the order in which files are run, local files take precedence over the global ones. Which doesn't seem to be correct. It looks to me that the global one was executed first and the local one second. But either way, when you are programming, they probably meant that local ones overwrite what globals set. Oh, that could be the case, yeah. If you program something to be set with the global one, you can undo it with the local one. But either way, what I was going to say is whenever you do your bash scripting, if you are inexperienced up to the absolute master level, there is always the need to test your code and see how it behaves. It's really easy. I mean, this is due to any kind of programming, basically, not just scripting. You will want to test your own code to see how it works. Put some of these echo commands to see which one executes, which one doesn't. It's not that the PDF is telling you, is giving you just the proof that this is how it is, but it's also giving you a way for laters how on your own you will come up with your own way to verify what you're doing. So basically just use the echo. It's like from Star Wars when it says use the force. Look, the echo is definitely your friend to see which file gets executed when. That's a really good way to do your thing and examine what's going on. How does set-x work? I haven't used that one. Oh, I think I actually did. Yeah, but I think I did it this way. I mean, when I saw it, I remembered, but not this way. This is my way of doing it, so I guess it's all right. To see what is basically being set or unset. Let's go to non-interactive login shells. A non-interactive shell with the L options is forced to behave like a login shell, and so the startup files to be run will be the same as those for interactive login shells. Oh, put it in the beginning of a script and it will print line by line what is being executed. That is good to know. To prove it, let us write a simple script and make it executable. I'm just doing some useful notes for the forum. We will not include any shebangs because we will be invoking the bash executable bin bash with the login option from the command line. We create the script test.sh containing the line echo so that we can prove the script runs. Okay, this is the script. And it basically now executes everything that I'm doing. I can log out and log back in, and I guess I'm gonna do that. That test. Okay. Mod plus x test. Okay, this is executable now. Finally, we invoke bash with the L option to run the script. Bash -l test.sh. Okay. What did we get here? We have executed this file, that file, and finally we have executed the script. It works. Before running the script, the login took place and both profile and .profile were executed. We will learn about shebangs and all other aspects of shell scripting in future lessons. Does it even need to be executable for this way of running it? I suspect no. I suspect no, because if a script is not executable and you type, if you pass it as a parameter to the shell command, to the shell executable, it gets executed even if it's not executable. So let's give it a test. I think it will work. Okay, not executable anymore, as shown. And yes, it does execute as expected. Side note, as an interesting fact, on OpenBSD, a lot of things are being scripted. If I can, what I'm trying to say, like the old days of Linux, where we have been using sysv init, we did a lot of scripts that would be executing in order to do this or that, restart networking, stuff like that. We have been executing these scripts that would do the thing. In the days of systemd is different. Not that there aren't any scripts, but in the older days we only had scripts. And on OpenBSD, they still, or probably will, to the end of time, rely on scripting. But because of their security way of thinking, I suppose, a lot of these scripts that are expected to be executed manually are not set executable at all. For example, if you change something in your networking configuration on OpenBSD, you are expected to execute a network file, network, what is it called? Network something in /etc/network something. I forgot the exact name. Netstart, etc netstart it is, I think. And that file is not executable, but the documentation teaches you to execute that script with the command sh space /etc/netstart in order to restart the networking. So that's one of the ways how you can avoid having scripts have an executable bit. In some cases, it could prove as a little bit more like a step towards a tiny bit higher security, depending on how you use your computer. Mislav, welcome in. We'll stick for a bit. Thank you very much for subscribing 16 times in a row and having that orange hat. Soon you're going to have a red one. Mislav, I believe, is the first member of the forum, I think. So he is quite dedicated to supporting this community in various ways, although he is very busy at work. So thanks again for doing what you do. I appreciate it. Also, Mislav, you probably know this already, but there will be some homework on the forum later today. Let us now have the standard output of the echo command into the standard input of an SSH connection by the means of a pipe. Let me try not to copy paste this before I understand what's going on. Echo, hello. Okay, so first we are doing the echo. Okay, so we have a standard output from the echo command. And then we are piping this to the user at some IP address. Supposedly, they mean the IP address of this same computer. So what this is going to do, this is going to send the output of the echo command into the SSH. Let's give it a try. Let's give it a try. I think you can hear Leica. Not much I can do about it. SSH Dart at 127.0.0.1. Okay. Are you sure you want to connect? Yep. Okay. Hello from profile, hello from dot profile, hello from a non-interactive login shell. Command not found. So, sudo terminal will not be allocated because standard input is not a terminal. Did we get this or not? Yes, we did. Sudo terminal will not be allocated because standard input is not a terminal. User's password, we logged in. Okay, this is where it continues. Yep, we got all of that. Again, the profile and dot profile are executed. Other than that, the first and last lines of the output are quite telling as far as the behavior of the shell is concerned. Non-interactive, non-login shell. Scripts do not read any of the files listed above, but look for the environment variable bash_env. Expand its values if needed and use it as the name of a startup file to read and execute commands. We will learn more about environment variables in the next lesson. Okay. As mentioned above, typically at the profile and the home folder.profile, make sure that both its bash.bashrc and the bashrc in the home folder get executed after a successful login. The output of the following command shows this phenomenon. Okay, we are going to log in from root to the user. Oops, I got out. Maybe we can do it from Dart to Dart. Okay, so now all four of them have successfully executed. Bearing in mind the lines were previously appended to the startup scripts and invoking an interactive login shell at the user level with su-user2, the four lines of the output can be explained as follows. Hello means this one. Explanation which one sourced which one. Okay. So this one means that at its profile has sourced this file at its bash.bashrc. This one has been fully read and executed. This one sourced that one, and then that one was fully read and executed. It's a bit long to read, but I think you can handle it on your own. Note how with su-dash username, also su-l username, and su-login username, we guarantee the invocation of a login shell where su username would have only invoked two of these files. We did discuss this at least 3 or 4 times by now. I think this lesson is taking very good care of explaining the same thing over and over in a slightly different manner. But basically, this is the same thing that we have been talking about for the past hour or so. So it all comes down to whether you recognize what is the login shell, what isn't, which files are going to execute, which files are not going to execute, and which files are going to source other files along with your shell execution. Sourcing the files. In the previous section, we have discussed that some startup scripts include or execute other scripts. This mechanism is called sourcing and is explained in this section. Sourcing files with the dot. The dot is normally found in startup scripts. In the dot profile file or of our Debian server, we can find, for instance, the following block. Include .bashrc if it exists. So it is programmed, so to say, in bash language in this way. If the file exists, okay, in the home folder, this file here, then execute it. It's quite a simple scenario. All you have to remember that this here is basically the verification of the existence of the file. If it does, do this, source it, yeah. Otherwise, we're done. Very easy. You can just source the file without the if statement, but that will produce needless errors. So better safe than sorry with the junk in your standard output and possibly in your logs. We already saw how the execution of a script may lead to that of another. Thus, the if statement guarantees that the file home/.bashrc, if it exists, okay, what I told you, will be sourced. Example, read and executed at login. As we will learn in the next lesson, $home is an environment variable that expands to the absolute path of the user's home directory. Furthermore, we can use the dot whenever we have modified a startup file and want to make the changes effective without a reboot or relaunching the login session or whatever. Add an alias to the bashrc file. What is this doing? Echo alias hi equals echo we salute you. I'm a little bit confused. What are we trying to accomplish here? we're adding the alias hi that is doing the echo we salute you, and it's just an alias. Yeah, it's okay. I got lost for a moment. It's just an alias that does the echo, nothing else. Okay, let's do that. Okay, so this alias is not going to function right now because we have only appended it to the bash rc. So if you type hi, no such command. If you source dot bash rc, then you can use the hi alias. Okay. When sending the output of one command into a file, remember not to mistake append with the overwrite. This is really, really important. Otherwise, make backups. Output the last line of bash.bashrc to check everything went fine. Oh, I see what we're doing. That is not my last command. That is not my last command because I have already issued 2 more commands. Okay. This is actually an interesting tidbit here. Have you ever tried to, I don't know, domestica? Domestica isn't important. What is important, what I'm trying to show you is you have run a command which requires root permissions, sudo, but you forgot to type sudo. Either the instructions where you copied from or from your head or whatever didn't include sudo, and you have typed a very, very long command and it says operation not permitted because you're not root and you should be. So there are 2 ways you can handle this. The less cool way is go with the up arrow to the last command that you executed. Press the home button to go to the beginning, type sudo and do the enter, and then type your password, type enter, and it is going to execute. Let's do it again. Domestic operation not permitted. Now we're doing it a little bit more cool way. This is the shell command. Type sudo, okay, and 2 exclamation marks. This will repeat the last command. Does that make sense to you? The 2 exclamation marks are basically swapping the previous command, the entire previous command that you typed. So because I typed sudo and exclamations, then basically what I'm doing is appending sudo to the previous command that failed to execute because sudo was missing. Slightly faster than going upwards and to the beginning of the line and all that shit. Okay. There we go. Copy it from your head. Is it not accurate? After all, the head is just, you know, a good computer with a buffer. exclamation mark dollar sign expands to the last argument from the previous command. In our case, it's the bash rc. What possibly you can do with this is, for example, you use nano to edit bash.bashrc and you go, I don't know, let's clear one line, okay? And we press F3 to save it. And we have saved it. We have exited this. And we want to cut the last file. So just exclamation dollar in order to type the contents of that file. So with bash.bashrc is not that much of a substitution, but if it's a long file name or long path, perhaps it could be easier to play with the exclamation mark. Northern Chimp says, thanks, I knew this exclamation thing existed, but couldn't remember it accurately. Yeah. Alexis says, I usually use Alt plus dot. That one is good as well. That seems to be a bash function. Okay. You can source the file by hand, okay, with the dot or with the command source. It's all good. Invoke the alias to prove it works. Yep, we did that already. Sourcing files with source. Fine. We have already done that. The origin of shell startup files, scale. Okay, so this is something that I mentioned vaguely in the beginning of this video, and we are now being served some more information about this. Alt plus dot seems to be the same as up arrow. I would say this is incorrect. Think again, Iceblade. Think again. Scale is a variable whose value is the absolute path to the scale directory. This directory serves as a template for the file system structure of users' home directories. It includes the files that will be inherited by any new user accounts created, including, of course, the configuration files for shells. Scale and other related variables are stored in etc adduser.conf, which is the configuration file for adduser. Okay. Scale is set to etc scale folder. Thus, the startup scripts that configure our shells lie therein. We have already tried to see if there is anything in that folder like an hour ago, and there was nothing there. But if something would be in that folder, these files would be inherited by the new user that we would be creating with the adduser command. The adduser command would visit the scale directory and simply use all of the files as a template for the configuration file for the new user. You just forgot -a. Okay, sorry. Oh, dot files. Okay. Very big mistake. Very big mistake. I now remember that you already told me about the -a, and for some reason I skipped it, but I remember reading that upwards in chat. Okay. Those are the files that the new user will inherit. Remember, files starting with the dot are hidden, so we must use the -a to see them when listing directory contents. This PDF is like talking down on me, literally. It's pointing fingers at me, isn't it? Let us now create a directory in etc/scale for all new users to store their personal scripts in. As root, we move into the scale folder. Okay. We list its contents. Once again, we create our directory and check all went as expected. Okay. This is a little bit better. Now we delete user2 together with its home directory. I don't want to delete user dart. And we add user2 again. We are going to just add user2 because that user never existed on our system. We do have Iceblade on our system, I think. Okay, ID Dart, ID Iceblade. Yep, we have Iceblade and ID user2. And this is our third user here. Okay, we have created the user2. Let's go to su-user2. Okay, we are now user2. Who am I? User2. Okay, and if we list the contents of our folder, we have inherited all of the contents of the scale folder. This is just awesome. Okay, and it did. We're done for today. We're going to do some exercises. Before we start with the exercises, is there something you would like to shortly discuss? But shortly. So scale folder directory is a bit of a template for new users. Exactly that. Not a bit of a template. It's the template. Study how the shells have been started under the column shell started with and complete with the required information. Okay, shell started with sudo ssh user2 at machine2. Okay, so we are executing ssh as root and logging into another machine as some user. Is this interactive shell? Come on, come on. User2 should be interactive bash. Is this okay? Is this a login shell? How many are there of you in the live stream? I don't have the panel in front of me right now. Iceblade says yes, we just logged into user2. Okay. The result of echo $0. I'm just shotgunning answers, even if I'm. Well, I appreciate you because everyone else is quiet, so it's just the two of us, and probably Alexei, who is giving others a chance to give a correct answer. 6 on YouTube. Okay, good enough. Let them keep sleeping, and we'll do our thing. If we log in with SSH like this, what will be the result of echo $0? Do you remember? We can do it again in the shell and see what happens. But I'm asking if you remember. Think that's a return code, so 0 false. No, it's not. It's not a code. I mean, it's not a number. It will tell you. Remember? No, I don't. So the echo $0 will tell you which shell you are running. But there are a couple of variations. I'm typing my notes for the homework because this is obviously not clear enough. Okay, you do not remember. So let's go with bash as the answer. No, PS1 is your prompt that says user to at my machine $. That's PS1. That's the prompt. The result of the echo $0 will tell you which shell you're running. It could be bash, it could be dash bash. Let's go with bash, just like that. Okay. If we log in to shell with Control Alt F2, so basically they're saying the TTY shell. Is this an interactive shell? I think you're answering yes. Is this a login shell? I think there may be a line here. So this is a login shell again, isn't it? Nope, me responding to those statements. Okay. Su-user2, is this interactive shell? Don't remember the key combos. Okay, that will be homework. Su-user2, is this an interactive shell? Nobody has a response to this. Okay, I guess I'm gonna reply to that one. Iceblade says, should be a super user at that point, so yes, it's an interactive shell. Northern Chimp says, su-user to interactive, yes. Login, yes. Bash again. Okay, let's go with Northern Chimp. Says, yes, yes, and bash again. Are you sure it's just bash without the dash? Okay, what if we log in with the GNOME terminal here? Is that an interactive login shell? I'm just scribing down the answers that the guys are giving in chat, Alexei. Northern Chimp says maybe it works with other shells as well. I only know bash. This is not a bash specific table of questions. The question is, if you start your shell with GNOME terminal, Iceblade says no bash. Okay. A regular user uses console to start an instance of Sakura. What's the difference between these three answers compared to the last three answers? No clue. You guys are very easy to derail. So if the previous answer was no on the GNOME terminal, then on the console, it's also no because it's the same. And if on GNOME terminal you said no, then on console is once again no. But because we are now launching Sakura and not Bash, then I don't have experience with this shell, but it is what it is. Iceblade thought Sakura was a virtual machine. Okay. a script named test.sh containing the command echo. So we have started our shell, let's say bash, with the parameter test.sh. So the bash has executed our script. Sakura is a terminal emulator. Well, in that case, I'm wrong. It will be bash again. So the last one, we started bash space test.sh. Is that an interactive login shell? Alexei, I'm just writing down what guys are saying. No, I'm just writing down. I want to get to the replies. Iceblade says a script is not a user. This is an interesting thinking procedure. If a script is not a user, then it isn't an interactive shell. Okay. But why didn't you use this same thinking procedure earlier? Okay, so if a script isn't a user, and you said non-interactive, what would you say about GNOME terminal and console? The last three rows, do they match? Do they line up? If you think about all three of them in the same way. They are not scripts, so maybe yes, no, bash. Which one are you talking about? GNOME and Sakura, yes, no, bash. Okay, so you want to fix this as yes, yes, and leave the nose here. So these are not login shells. Okay. To be honest, the entire thing is a little bit, how to put it? Yeah, the best guess. The it's like 7 layers of the OSI model. I don't know if you heard of them. They each explain different things, such as layer 1 deals with the I suck in with English with professional terms, technical terms. Layer 1 is cables, and then you go up to connections and physical layer, yeah. But nobody who what I'm trying to compare here is nobody who deals with networking really needs the OSI seven layers. They are only there in order to facilitate the conversation between humans, and maybe between humans and the documentation, stuff like that. But when you are configuring something on your own, you don't really need to think in terms of layers before you need to talk to someone else, and talking in layers to another person makes it easier to get on the same level of understanding. And in this case, understanding whether the shell is interactive or not, whether it's login or not, it kind of feels the same like if you're going to do this completely solo. You may not really think in this way, but rather you will know how different commands behave. I hope I'm making sense. But as soon as you will talk to someone about programming a shell script or something, and you will ask for assistance, like, dude, please help me with my script, it's not working. And that person is going to read your script, and that person is going to ask you, okay, man, I can see that you're using like a login shell here. Why are you doing that? And that's when you're probably going to need to understand the differentiation here. I believe I'm correct about where this matters. But either way, it would be good if we got all this correctly. And now I'm going to put a stop on this, and let's go to the next one. And later on, we will see where we were with the replies. Write the su and sudo commands to launch the specified shell. Interactive login shell as user 2. How would we use the su command to switch to user root as an interactive login shell? Drop something in chat. The first one is the most difficult one. After that, it will be. After that, the rest of them will be. Oh, yeah, there's the first answer. Su dash root. So the dash would run some of the commands, that are required for the root user to. What did you write? What? Is that like a wait? User 2. Okay. But the user is less important here. It's important that you got the dash right, and I think I agree. So let's go with to dash user 2. Okay, what about sudo? Of course, you can sudo user 2. Now why would you say that? What is the thinking process behind getting that command? I shouldn't laugh. I have stomach pain. I had to look it up. An interactive shell is when the user can be prompted during execution. Sudo I user 2. I think you're getting closer. I command not found. I command not found. Was it just sudo I? No. You need to become user 2 in an interactive login way with sudo command. I told you you're very close, but if you type a word as a string after sudo, then sudo is going to try to execute that. In your case, you're trying to execute command I. So it's definitely not that. Sudo dash login. I mean, give me the whole command. You cannot cheat on the test. The whole command or nothing. Running a blank here. Why blank? I'm just telling you, give me the whole command, because if you just type sudo dash login, not only it is going to tell you sudo invalid argument, but also it is going to try to log in as root because you didn't specify user 2. That's why I'm telling you, give me the whole command. You need to log in as user 2. So in your case, it would be sudo dash login user 2. That's what I'm saying. Give me the whole command, not just a half of the command. Because if you put half of the command in the test, then it's the wrong command. It's not accurate. Yes, that is more correct, but dash login doesn't exist as a parameter on sudo, so you're going to try harder. I'm talking out of my head. You guys can check if you want, but I'm pretty sure that dash login doesn't exist. I can give you a small hint. Bash is a GNU application. Now we are correct. Okay. Sudo -I for interactive, I would suppose. User 2. Okay, what I was going to say is GNU is sorry, not GNU. Bash is a GNU software, and all of the GNU software usually have two dashes in front of the whole word, never just one dash. Okay, so either you use the short parameter, which is usually just one dash and one letter, or you use the full word with two dashes. There is no such thing as one dash and a full word in any of the GNU tools. It may be in BSD tools, not in GNU tools. It's just a little bit of a specific for GNU. Okay. Interactive login shell as root. Alexei said, well, not really. I just don't see how long ago did he type that. -U for the user. -I is for root for sure. Shit. I or -login run the shell specified by the target's user password database entry as the login shell. This means that login specific resource files will be read by the shell. I think we are okay with our answer. Let's see what the U is. Used in conjunction with the L. Well, let's give it a try. User 2 wants to become sudo -I root, and we are now asking for the password of user 2. Sorry. Dart sudo -I root. We did execute root command as root. Yeah. Yep. The problem is that I have never really had the need to use sudo in order to log in as another user that isn't root. And really, there isn't much of a reason from my perspective. Why would you use sudo command to log in as another user? You know, so there may be a use case for that, but in almost all cases, you will use sudo in order to execute commands as root. Non-option parameters are interpreted by sudo as command to execute. We did see proof of that, yes. Okay. Interactive login shell as root. Well, it's the same. Su dash and sudo dash I. Iceblade says su dash root and sudo dash eu root. Well, that's too much, because if you omit the user, then sudo will consider that you want to be root, because in most cases you do. Okay, so you just omit the user. This is for sure. Now, Alexei says it's still valid, and it is valid, yes. It is valid, what Iceblade wrote. It's just that you do want your commands to be shorter, but if you want them longer, it's a fine answer as any. Interactive non-login shell as root. Iceblade says su space root. Okay, I would agree. Okay, and with sudo, well, we are trying to become root, so we don't need to type root. Just su. I can show you. Su. And voila, we root. Because yeah, so the answer is su. And what about sudo? How do we non-login become root? We want to become root with sudo, but a non-login. What is the answer? How do we use sudo command to become root with a non-login? Sudo just nothing? Nope. Unfortunately, I know the answer, so I'm gonna keep quiet for now. Actually, Alexei, yeah, I just wanted to say that Alexei gave you a hint. Alexei gave you a hint, but I don't believe you're going to decode it from the hint itself. The S switch. Sudo dash S is going to log in as root as a non-login in a non-login way. It won't execute all of the stuff. It's dash S. And now that we know this, what would be the interactive non-login shell as user? Let's start with Sue. It definitely starts with Sue. Guys in chat, what comes out after Sue for the non-login shell as user 2? There is a hint over here. That would be correct. Okay, what about sudo down there? Next page. Same thing. Non-login shell user2, but we use sudo. Alexei has been waiting for this for a while. Sudo dash s user2. That will result in user2 command not found. User, the U letter here, user 2. Okay, sudo dash su user 2. But this particular su, this particular su over here is not the same as this su over here. The upper su is a command, but the su down there is just a series of two switches together. Yeah, what Alexei wrote is also correct. You can detach S and U to be separate. It will work just fine. Two flags for the sudo command, yeah. The S command for the non-login shell and the U command for the to tell it that it's the user too. What startup file gets read when the shell under shell type is started? Okay, this is going to be more difficult. Row A, interactive login shell as user 2. Which of these files are going to be started, executed in the A scenario? We are doing as user 2 a interactive login. Iceblade says a bash.bashrc. Okay. What else? Iceblade says etc bashrc. Anything else, or is that it? I'm gonna give my opinion a little bit later. I want to invoke another thinking process as you did with the previous table. Multi-option chooser, yeah. Which ones are going to... So Iceblade says yes, no, yes, yes. So you want me to delete the second one? Okay. What about interactive login shell as root? What is going to execute here? It's the same, but a different user. Come on, guys, don't let Iceblade be alone in chat. Where is Northern Chimp? Wait, that logic doesn't make sense. Iceblade says, good. Make it make sense. We have 4 rows. 2 rows are interactive login shells and 2 rows are interactive non-login shells. B, yes, 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 yes. Okay. Okay, is there a reason why is B different from A? C is no, yes, no, yes. No, yes, no, yes. Okay. D is no, no, yes, yes. Okay, what is the logic here? Why? Let's just watch C and D, which is the same but different users. Why is user 2 on a non-login shell executing .profile in his home folder, but root isn't doing that? What is the difference between user 2 and root in terms of executing the file .profile in their own home folder? Well, yeah. Are you not reading? It's very large on the screen. Reading and understanding are two different things. Yes. Because root is a non-profile. Northern Chimp says, which would imply that Northern Chimp agrees with the check marks that Iceblade has placed on this table. Guys, what are we contemplating here? A, yes, no, yes, yes. That's already written. I don't have to change it. B, no, yes, no, yes. I'm confused. Why is it so different between root and user 2? So you're saying, let's look at the line C. You're saying that if you do a non-login shell as root, that bash.bashrc is not going to execute. Because user is profile and root is not. I don't know what that is. I mean, root is just a user with superpowers, but still just a user. I'm not saying they are the same, but they are users on the system. Of course, root is a user. You have a lot of users on the system. Look, let me show you. What happened here? Oh, okay. Edit password file. Sorry, let's go with got edit password VC. Okay, we have 26 users on this system. First user root, second user daemon, third user bin, fourth user sys, user games, user mail, user backup, user nobody. All of these are users. Different in the ways they are configured, different in the ways that many of them don't have a shell. This one does, this one does, this one does not. They have different IDs, groups. You have lost an understanding what a user is. Northern Chimp is asking why would root not have a bash.bashrc? It also uses the shell. Exactly. That is what I was trying to get you to say. Okay. So can we agree that in interactive login shell and interactive non-login shell, both user and root will execute .bashrc? Could we agree on that? Okay. Let's go to the left. Or maybe let me ask a question in an easy way, easier way. When we have a non-login shell, then less of the files get executed. Correct? Then compared to login shells. Besides .bashrc in the home folder, which other file of the 3 of those gets executed every time, even if it is a non-login shell? So for now, so non-interactive don't have .profile. I didn't mean that root isn't a user, but the default one, so maybe not a profile. Northern Chimp, you don't have to check your Linux. I could check it as well. The idea was to try to think from the pure brain to get to the answer, right? Without looking into the into your computer for the solution. He's just waterboarding me. Oh, okay. Iceblade, which one of the remaining 3 files get executed every time, no matter that it is a non-login shell? etc/bash.bashrc. Okay. I'm gonna take your word for that. Interactive login versus non-login. So the login one will basically execute all of the files, okay? And it doesn't matter which user it is, but basically you get this. This is what should have been the answer. It's just that I'm not entirely sure if it's bash.bashrc that gets executed every time. I think you're correct on that one. I actually think you're correct. Can we save this? We can. Okay. Let's check the answers. I know there is more questions, but let's check the answers first. Answers to guided exercises. Okay, what startup file gets read when the shell under shell type is started? So looks like we got it right. If you look at the geometry, it's the 4 yeses, and then in the, I use fish, by the way. Oh, hello, XGUI Studio. Basically, we got the answers correct, right? So bashrc gets executed every time, and bash.bashrc, the system one, gets executed every time. These 2 guys don't get executed if it's a non-login shell. Makes sense now, but have to remember it. Actually, it should be easy to remember that bashrc, both the local one and the system one, get executed all of the time, and the profile ones don't get executed if it's a non-login. Alexei says, my problem with this is that technically bashrc files are not executed per bash itself, but rather often sourced by profiles files. This is something to practice on when you do the legit scripting. Okay, the second question. Interactive login shell as user 2. Can we... Okay. On the left side, our replies. On the right side, the correct answers. So interactive login shell as user 2 was supposed to be su dash user 2, which is what we got correct. But also there are two more ways of doing things. So I don't know if it's really required to understand all of the three. It cannot hurt for sure, but we didn't make it wrong. For sudo, we should be using sudo su-user2 or sudo su-l user2 or sudo su-login user2. And what we did is seemingly incorrect, but I remember testing it and our ways is correct as well. Our ways is correct as well. And Alexei says our ways is better. So there are 4 ways to do this. We didn't do it by the book, but we did do it correctly. Interactive login shell as root, su-root or just su-dash. We did the su-dash. Okay, with sudo, we did this one. We didn't do the other ones. Interactive non-login shell as root. Interactive non-login shell as root. We are here. Su root or just su? Okay, that was my response. And then we had sudo-s, which isn't mentioned here. Yes, it is. Sudo-s, okay. Okay, many different ways of doing the same thing. Interactive non-login shell as user 2. User 2, we got that correctly. And the last one, sudo su user 2 or sudo-u user 2-s. Now this one is interesting because I do not believe that we did it wrong. So I think one is missing here. Okay. So row A, we said yes, yes, and dash bash. I was trying to tell you that the dash is a thing and you didn't quite grasp what I was trying to say with that. And the correct answers are yes, yes, and dash bash. The next one, yes, yes, bash, and we forgot the dash. It is the result of echo $0, how your login shell is prepended, shown. Yeah, so to-user2, to-user2, yes, yes, bash, but it's actually yes, yes, dash bash. It is what it is. Then someone used GNOME terminal and we concluded it should be yes, no, bash, yes, no, bash, which ends up being very correct, although we completely forgot about the dash, but dash wasn't necessary here. So just in, it turns out that not knowing enough got us eventually to the correct answer. With E, a regular uses consoles to start instance of Sakura, and we said yes, no, bash, yes, no, bin bash. A script, we said no, no, bash, but this is the biggest mistake that we have made. Echo $0 says bin bash. Oh, sorry about that. Chat kind of in the way, yeah. Okay, explorational exercises. I have an idea for this, but let me just read it quickly. In bash, we can write a simple hello world function by including the following code in empty file. What should we do next to make the function available to the shell? Once it is available to the current shell, how would you invoke it? To automate things, in what file would you put the function and its invocation so that it gets executed when user 2 opens the terminal? At least the programming part I understand more easily. Well, we will all get there. I'm gonna skip this and I'm gonna explain myself why. Let me just go with summary here. In this lesson, we learned shells set user environment in a Linux system. Bash is the #1 shell across GNU/Linux distributions. The first job a shell carries out is that of reading and executing one of various startup files. The concepts of interaction and login as related to shells. This is what we have learned. How to launch different type of shells with bash, sudo, and tty. How to check the type of shell with the command echo $0. The local startup files home folder /.bash profile, home folder /.profile profile. This was bash profile and then profile, and then home folder dash dot bash underscore login, and in the home folder bash underscore logout and the bash rc file. Okay, local startup files. The global startup files in etc profile, etc profile.d as the directory, and etc bash.bashrc. Local files take precedence over global ones. How to redirect the output of a command with whatever this sign is called, that is overwrite, and brothers would do the append instead of overwrite. Brothers as in two of them. What is the meaning of the scale directory and how to source files? And some of the commands used in this lesson: bash, sudo, usermod, echo, ps, less, ssh, chmod, grep, ls, cd, make directory, delete user, add user, dot, source, tail. Greater than sign. Okay. Okay, guys, we have one exploration exercise, 2 of them, 3 of them, 4 of them, 5 of them. I really want that forum of mine to get traction. And do me a favor and carry the explorational exercises to the required forum topic and try to do this on your own, and then just write your replies and try to interact with others. I will do the same. I will do all these explorational exercises myself. I will type my own replies without reading the correct solutions in the PDF. I mean, nobody will know if you have read the solutions, but that's hardly the point because we aren't competing. There is literally zero competition here. There is no point whatsoever in reading the results of the correct answers. So do me a favor, get my forum going and answer all of the 5 exploration exercises into the forum as one big reply into your name, and also type whatever from the entire lesson seems not entirely clear to you, especially if you have notes from today. And also, if you see someone else asking questions, please try to reply to that person so we get some interaction going. And also in my text editor on my upper monitor, I have some notes from today's live stream where it seemed to me that not everything is clear to you guys. I made some notes where you halted with like, what the hell is this? And I'm going to type those into the forum topics so that you can see them and act accordingly to learn a little bit more about these topics that I'm going to write over there. Iceblade says, I am when I tomorrow rewatch this and drop comment on my attempt feel singled out there. I think I decoded what you said. You said that I am when. Okay, tomorrow you will rewatch and then you will participate in forum. Okay. You are not singled out. You have singled out yourself simply by being active in chat compared to everyone else. Okay, Northern Chimp, thumbs up, but everyone else thumbs down, at least on YouTube side. Okie dokie. Closing these guys, discard, exit, exit, exit. Let's go to the browser here. Nobody has asked me to approve his account yet. When you do that, I'm going to approve your account. When you write something into the topic, go to the LPIC1, okay, LPIC1 group, and then go to the 105.1, lesson 1 of 3. Go into that topic. You will see it's fairly clearly designated. This is where you will drop replies with the big red button reply if you're writing your own homework. But if I ask a question or anyone else and you want to reply to me, then you can press the reply button within the space of my own post, which would say that you're replying to me, right? So that's one of the ways, and I think we're good. I hope you will like this little change with involving a little bit more. It may feel like less content coming from me at first, but I actually want to give you more content because the forum will be able to stretch. The conversation on the forum will be able to stretch for longer than half an hour, what we usually spend on explorational exercises, right? So we will spend a couple of days. I mean, not effectively days, but it will get stretched, and many more people will get the chance to participate. Once again, thank you very much, and next Sunday.